Hey everybody, today we're looking at a new universal head unit from Eonon. This is going to be the double din. It's a UA13SK Plus. So it's got Android 13, the octa-core CPU, 6 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, and a 10.1 inch QLED touchscreen. The difference with this one compared to some of the older kind of screens that stick out from double dins, this one has a physical volume knob, so changing the volume and such will be a lot easier on this one. And then you're going to get the newer screen, the more RAM, Android 13, so just an overall upgrade. So let's go ahead and see what comes in the box. So right up top, we're going to have our manual that's specific to this head unit. So there's our model there, and then there's kind of the front of the screen. So here's a couple installation tips, telling you to use the ISO harness, which that's kind of a standard for all of their head units now. Definitely would recommend putting ISO harnesses or buying an ISO harness for whatever car you're going to install this in. So pretty much you would just look up your exact year and model of car and then put in ISO harness, and then you'll get an adapter, so it'll plug straight into your head unit that you have stock, and then it'll give you the harness that is correct to plug into the end of this one. So that'll help out. So here's your back, all the accessories, all the wiring, and then here's a pinout for all the cabling as well, and then how to disassemble the screen. I'll show you that later too. And then here's going to be our manual for the Android 13 unit. So this is the same as all their other Android 13 units. Just some helpful tips and tricks, setting it up, settings, where to find certain stuff, what they do, that kind of stuff. Here's our wiring box. Since this is universal, if you have like steering wheel controls and all that, you're gonna have to do a little additional wiring compared to like the plug and play one that came with the Golf, but nothing too intense. Definitely can be done. So especially if you have the ISO harness, that'll help with actually plugging the main power harness in. So that's going to be this. So these are ISO plugs. Essentially, your speakers are all on this half, and your control power ground, remote start is all on this half. Those are your ISO plugs. It'll just be that. This end will go into the head unit. We've already got a fuse in line for the power. Then this is going to be for your steering wheel controls if you do want to try to run those. The Forester doesn't have anything like that, so we won't be installing that with this. This is going to be your SIM card installation, and then all of your audio in and outs. You've got a remote start for your amp wire if you're running a subwoofer, external microphone, which it comes with. You can run that separately. Front camera input, subwoofer out, all your any and all inputs that you'll ever need. This cable is your backup camera input, and then your brake shift control, so that'll tell you when your parking brake is on. This is going to be one of our Wi-Fi, or both of our Wi-Fi and 4G and Bluetooth antennas, so these will have to be plugged in and placed in a good spot to be able to receive for wireless CarPlay. This is going to be one of your USBs if you want wired CarPlay. And then this is another cable. This has two USB-A ends, so you can plug in 3 total USBs at once. So you can do the dash camera, you can do pretty much anything that you want. And I have a dash camera in the Forester, so we'll be plugging that in and making sure that that all works too. And here you're going to have your SIM card tray, an extra amp for the head unit, and then screws for the head unit too, so you don't have to try to use random screws around your garage. This is going to be your GPS antenna for the unit, and then your external microphone if you want to run it. This is going to be our unit in here. So all cut in foam, so nothing's going to move anywhere. So this is going to come in 2 pieces. It's going to be your main unit and then the screen here. So here's our new screen. That thing is looking awesome. Super big, super nice looking screen there. So there's your model number, and then it's going to tell you how to connect this cable connector that'll go into underneath this plug here, and then it just plugs in to actually power your screen. And then for moving your screen up and down, there's 2 tabs built in on the side here, so that's how you go ahead and slide the screen up and down. And then you're going to have this plug on the bottom where you can kind of cover everything up. And then for the front, we're going to have a telephone button, navigation. This is going to be your mute power button and volume button. Back, home, and then this is the internal microphone. And then there's also a hard reset button if you should run into any issues. And then as far as our unit, this is going to pretty much look like all of the previous ones. just instead of having the screen here, it's just going to be that large one in the front. And then we're going to have our screen connector here. So, and then this is all adjustable. This will turn and move so you can get it in the correct spot. So it's kind of on a swivel mount there. So once you have the screen on, you can turn it and move it to exactly where you want it. And then as far as inputs here go, we're looking at the GPS and the 2 Wi-Fi or 4G antennas here. Got your radio input, HDMI input, your main power harness, and then that's for all those accessory wires like USB, amplifier, stuff like that. So that's going to be our actual unit. I'm going to go ahead and remove the unit that's in the Forester now, and then I'll show you guys the wiring and how we're going to hook this one back up. But if you already have the ISO plugs, then you're 95% of the way there for wiring this in. So that's kind of the brunt of the work, I should say. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the stock one, and then I'll bring you guys back in. So just removed the previous unit that was in there. This is also a Eonon. This was the UA13 that was in there before. I'm going to swap it out for the UA13 Plus. So that's essentially going to be this head, the built-in screen and button, and then now we're going to have it all on this separate screen. So I'm going to want to keep the mounting of my stock bracket in a similar location. So I'm probably just going to use the same holes and line it up the same so everything lines up. And then that will be the same for whichever car you're installing this in. So make sure that your brackets line up according to the front face and how far you want the screen to stick out of your dash and everything. And then the only other thing I was going to point out was this one has, since these covers come out quite a bit, and with these connections being on the side there, with the covers there, it's going to be hard to get those in, these antennas in after the fact. So I'm going to go ahead and put all those in now, and then put my covers on the side so I don't have to try to deal with it in the car. But yeah, so try to plug in as much as you can while it's out, because it's a lot easier here than in the car. So these are those 3 antennas installed. And then if you do want to snug them up, don't make them really tight obviously, but if you just want to snug them up a little bit, it's a 8mm wrench will fit on there, and you can tighten those just slightly, make sure nothing moves. And then I did have to clearance my lower hole on my OEM bracket here, and then this is just going to sit and line up on those holes. So I'm going to try to do it at that length, and we'll see how it works. So now that we're at that stage, all of my wiring from the previous unit was the same. So this is the main power harness here, and then that's my ISO adapter. So I've got my ISO to my OEM unit that was in here at one point, a long time ago now, but it wasn't here at some point. Now that we're at this stage, we're going to go ahead and take our new unit and start getting everything plugged in. So we've got our radio antenna, which is here. We've got our dual USB plug here, our single USB plug here, and I use this adapter for the subwoofer out and the backup camera in adapter, and then our main power plug, and I believe that's it. So I don't use all of them. I've also got the Eonon dash camera in here, so we will use that or check that out once we get the head unit on, and then we'll also check out the reverse camera that I got in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug everything in. Essentially with the accessory plugs, just find which plug looks like it fits in which hole, and then that's the hole it goes in. So as I was putting this back here, just wanted to show that this is how the screen actually connects, and then you get your cover with the cord that comes out, and then that's your pin connector there. Alright guys, so just got that screen installed. So all you have to do is pull those tabs, and then now we can also tilt it, move it around on that swivel there. So it's a lot easier to do once the screen is actually on there. So I normally keep it kind of tilted towards me a little bit like that. So now that it's on there, let's go ahead and just make sure that everything powers on before we actually button everything up here. Everything has powered up and it's looking good. Everything's working. All of the speakers and the subwoofer are working, so all of my connections are correct. So that's good news. So now that we've verified that everything works, let's go ahead and turn this off, and then we're gonna go ahead and remove the screen, and then put the whole dash and everything back together, put the trim back on. Then we'll connect my phone, check out the actual head unit, check out some of the settings. So I did finish putting everything back together. So here's the swivel movement that you get out of this, if you do want to move it around slightly. So it's got that spherical movement there, and then you can kind of angle it towards whoever's using it more or less. So let's go ahead and turn it back on, and we'll go over the functionality. I used it to go to work today, and it was awesome. I had no issues with it. My phone connects right away, goes right to CarPlay. My dash camera's been working great. Reverse camera works even better. And yeah, everything's been working really great with it. So I really like the size of the screen and everything. So yeah, I really like the size of the screen. This is definitely one of the bigger ones that you can get. Definitely a lot bigger than a typical double din. And I can still go up and down with it too. But I kind of like it right here because these center vents don't work in the Forester. So lucky for me, I guess. So I don't have to worry about any of the heat coming in on it. And then all of my HVAC controls are still available under there. So I can still get to all of those if I need to. Let me go ahead and peel the screen off here, the screen protector. We can officially take it off now since we're completely installed. So make sure to follow their little note there so you don't actually mess with the screen. And yeah, the screen actually looks almost even better now. So hopefully you can see some of those really deep colors there. This is a really nice looking screen. It looks really awesome, and yeah, hopefully that comes across in the video. And then those are your buttons there. You've got your volume knob here, and then everything's been working perfect with the sub as well. But let me go ahead and show you what I did here. So on the front page, I moved a couple of the apps around. So all you have to do that is just hold this and then move it wherever you want. So easy to do. You've got a ton of apps that you have available. You've got the entire Google App Store at your disposal here. So on my home page, I've got the kind of opening thing there. Got your radio, time, date. So down here I put an amplifier, radio, CarPlay, the DVR for the dash camera, and then my settings. So let's check out the amplifier. So I just have it on flat right now. I might end up messing with this a little more depending on what music I'm listening to, but I can make 3 custom EQs as well for that, so that'll be just fine too. I did change the delay a little bit, so there is preset delays that you can pick for driver, passenger, or all. I kind of put it in between the driver and the passenger. That's what kind of sounded best in this car, because I do have aftermarket speakers all the way around, so that helps as well. And this is going to be your volume of everything. So you've got center, front, rear, and sub. So my sub, the way I have my amp set, is kind of high. Ended up with it right about the middle. And then I have a volume knob down there, the Alpine volume knob, where I can adjust the subwoofer from there. But this is essentially the volume that I'm going to want at its lowest setting. And then I can change it from my volume knob in the future if I need to. So there's your volume knobs. These are your effects. So fatness, bass, loudness, think of it as treble, low end, and kind of mid. So if you want to mess with those, you can. We have the options too. And then here's going to be your frequency bands, different high pass filters, and yeah, different low pass filters for what speaker you have. So let's say you have that speaker is blown and it's shaking a lot and you're sick of it. So you can turn on the high pass filter and take all of the bass out of the speakers if you want to leave everything in the subwoofer. So some pretty advanced audio settings with the DSP here throughout everything. So I really like all the options that you get with this, and I think the look of the DSP is pretty cool too. So going back, we've got radio. That's just going to be your standard radio. You can go between AM, FM, and yeah, it works. It's just your typical radio, so that works just fine. Then we've got CarPlay, which we were looking at earlier. So, and then you've got your nice volume knob in the middle here, which I actually really like, over the touchscreen volume up and down. Just if you need to get it down fast, it's a lot easier. Just hit the knob versus tapping the touchscreen. So yeah, I don't mind that change at all. I didn't have to do anything to connect my phone either. It just worked right away, which is nice. So I'll show you how to connect your phone once we get to the settings. And then the last one of my apps here is the HD. It's going to be this Eonon dash camera, and it's quite nice. It's very small. I'll leave a link for that in the description as well. And all you have to do is put an SD card inside of it, and then you're ready to go. So you've got a couple different settings here. So I just have it on plug and play, which means when you turn on the car, it'll just start recording right away. You've got an app update, and then you're recording, so it'll do 1-minute videos over and over. So I'm going to format my card because I just put a new one in, and then we're good to go. And then you can check your device information and then what firmware it's on as well. So for any troubleshooting, you can get that info right off here. And then recording, you can turn audio on and off, time on and off, recording brightness, and then your record time. So, but yeah, otherwise you've got your SD card in here, so you can check out your videos, and it's got our time and date here as well. So pretty cool features there. And then as far as settings for this, what I messed with was the Bluetooth. So to connect your phone, go to Bluetooth. It's going to tell you what it's called, the PIN number, and then you can change your PIN number and the name as well. So I'll change this one to Forester, and then I'll just leave the PIN number as 00. So now it'll auto connect to this, and I'll know exactly which car it is. So it doesn't accidentally connect to my other cars. And then there's my iPhone there. So you can add multiple devices in and then pick which one you want to do CarPlay. And then obviously it's got wired CarPlay with USB as well. So for me, I have my USB in here. My USB is in there. So I've got my iPhone cable for charging, and if I want to do wired CarPlay. So nice to have those options available. And then dash camera is the same thing. That's going in with one of the other USBs. And then the only other thing is the reverse camera that is wired in directly how I showed you guys earlier. So here's the look of a reverse camera. So these lines on the sides, ignore those. Those are not from Eonon. Those are just what's on my camera that I have installed right now. But there are settings that you can do for this. Just hold down, and then you can change where it lands on the road. So I kind of lined it up with my driveway there, and then ended it up like that. So you can change where your safe distance is. So if you want to be further away while parking, or if you kind of have a bad driver, make the safe distance as far as possible pretty much. And then yeah, you can change any of these settings as well. So, and then it's got a reset for when you're done with everything. So that's the reverse camera, and then changes right back when you're done. So otherwise, I really like this head unit quite a bit. It's kind of the perfect size for kind of a larger head unit, if that's what you're looking for. I like that you can move it around. You've got a little bit of flexibility after it's installed even, and then you can also go up and down too. So I like that you've got the flexibility of moving it and being able to move it up and down as well. And then I really like that it's got the physical volume knob, and you're back. So that's going to be your mute on, mute off. The car, this is where I did my picked my LED settings for my lights. So I just picked this rainbow one here, so it kind of goes through all the colors. But you can pick, like the Subaru has a lot of green lights, so I could pick green if I wanted to match kind of my green LEDs here. But yeah, I kind of just like this multicolor one. Reminds me of those old school head units. So, and then you can kind of see here the difference. So that's with your lights off during the day, and it also changes to a white background. And then when you turn your lights on, it goes black and also dims the screen. That's overall the functionality of this head unit. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it so far. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And if you guys wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, I would really appreciate it. It would help me out to get the videos out to more people, hopefully. And more people would be able to check these out and see how nice these head units really are. So yeah, with that being said, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Money, earn, crack money, drug money, bail money. Heard they got life for me, how they got life for me when they took that from me. Since I had my nose,
Yeah.